This is Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Good morning. This is Rick Schissler, and you're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I'm your Silver Fox advisor and the host of the show. And I want to let you know we're coming to you from the Lone Star Community Radio studios in downtown Conroe, Texas, here in Montgomery County. And if you didn't catch it in the news last week, big item. Conroe was named the fastest growing city in America, according to our Census Bureau. So we're right in the middle of the action here at Conroe and Montgomery County. So all our business news is good news, I hope. So appreciate it again for you joining us this week. We've got a wonderful show lined up for you. First, I want to thank our show sponsor, Pearson & Pearson CPA, PLLC. Pearson & Pearson is a full-service accounting firm and CPA firm located right here in downtown Conroe since the 1980s. They work with their clients on not only on CPA, taxes, but they also work with their clients on maintaining their financial viability. So if you need a CPA firm, think about Pearson & Pearson CPA. Next, we'll have our thought for the week, our fastest growing city in America. How can we not talk about that this week? And then we go to our special guest. Our local business guest today is Andrew Pena of Dream Management Service, LLC. Also, will be joining us in the studio is Jake, our engineer, and Jake's going to talk about his show right here on Lone Star Community Radio. In our expert corner, I'm pleased to announce that John Martin with Thrivent will join us again and talk a little bit more about building the value of your business. I'll close out today's show with my Silver Fox tip of the week, top line or bottom line, which means the most to your business. So I encourage you, sit back, grab your pad and pencil, and get ready to take notes as we talk about business right here on the Weekly Business Hour. And as we get started, don't forget, if you have a question during the course of the show or a comment, and even a question about your own business, I encourage you to email it to Rick, R-I-C-K, at irlonestar.com. Love getting those emails, particularly ones about your business. Don't mind shooting an answer back to you. That's what I do for a living as a Silver Fox advisor. Well, let's start off, as I promised, with that thought for the week. Fastest growing city in America. What an honor for the city of Conroe. When you have a business, a city, an entity, an organization, and you're named the best, which the fastest is, to me, another way of saying the best in a sense, then it means a lot. It means a lot to the community. I don't think it's something that the community in and of itself strive. It made an effort to become the fastest growing city, but it just happens when you put all the pieces together, the puzzle's built, and then it works. So first of all, I want to offer, in my thought, congratulations to the city fathers, all the people here in Montgomery County, the businesses, the organizations, the governmental entities that all have to come together in order to cause a city to grow and thrive. And Conroe definitely is not only growing, but it's thriving. It's a great place to do business, and it's worthy, if you're not a member of this community and you're listening to this program from somewhere around the world, to take a look at Conroe. Go online, Google Conroe, Texas, and look at some of the factors that make it the fastest growing city in America, because those kind of things can help you grow your business and your community. Well, the Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County and businesses throughout the world come to talk about the latest in business news, ideas to improve their business, and to hear from some of our own local business leaders on how they have found success right here in Montgomery County. Remember, the Weekly Business Hour is on Facebook, so I encourage you, please like us on Facebook at the Weekly Business Hour page and set up an alert so that each week when the show is posted to our podcast, you will be alerted so you can take a look at what we talked about on the show, and if there's something of interest, you can click on it and listen to that part of the show. Well, now we're going to check in with Jake. Normally we check in with Dick every week, but it's a pleasure. Jake, welcome to the show, and talk to us a little bit about the show you have right here on Lone Star Community Radio.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you letting me plug in my own show and help plug in the radio station here at Lone Star Community Radio. But yes, I had my first practice run last week with the show, and this week we will run the first podcast version of the show, and then next week, the 15th of June, we will go live for the first time with Jake from Sports Talk, and it is a sports talk show about the local Montgomery County area as well as Houston and all major nationwide sports. So really excited about that, and I got to thank Dick so much, how much he has let me as an intern do behind the board as well as having my own show, and it just shows that, you know, what kind of station this truly is, and it really is a show or a station for your community.
Well, Jake, I appreciate that, and that's true. Jake, you're a graduate or soon to be a graduate of Sam Houston?
Yes, soon to be. I've got 1 year left.
Well, that's great. And let everybody that is listening to the show, if you're in business here or otherwise in the Montgomery County area in particular, or maybe even a little bit further, if you have an idea for a show, this is community radio at its best. This station is dedicated to bringing information to you in the community, talking to people like we're going to be doing today with Andrew Pena about how they found success here in Montgomery County. And you, too, can have an opportunity to get on the radio and talk about what you know best. So please reach out to the station. Contact Dick, our general manager, at dick@irlonestar.com if you have an idea for a show. And remember, 8 to 10, Monday through Fridays, open mic. Anybody can sign up and come in and talk about their business, their idea, their cause, anything that is allowable over the radio. We'll leave it at that. Well, now we're to my favorite part of the show, and everybody who has listened to the show before knows that. And that's when we talk with local successful business leaders. And today I'm so pleased to have Andrew Pena with Dream Management Services to join us. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you just for a few minutes prior to the show and look at some of the information. Andrew, just to introduce yourself to our audience, give us a little bit of your business background.
Well, I got my degree from New Orleans. I've got an accounting background. I actually was in New Orleans for quite a while in public accounting and some other various jobs, controller, CFO for other businesses. And then I had an opportunity to come here in 1999 to Texas. To be honest with you, Houston was a quite intimidating city when I first moved here. But I ended up in a public accounting firm for another year doing some management consulting, and I had an opportunity to do a lot of things, different things in that business. Then, you know, later on, I was given an opportunity to be a CFO for a development company here in Houston. And the thing I have to tell you about Texas that I really love about this state and about the city was I got so many chances to do things that I would have never been able to do in the past. That's one thing. There's so many people that were mentoring me along the way when I got to Texas. And that's really been my story, is that every step of the way there seems to be someone willing to kind of pull me up, see some opportunity in me, see some drive and motivation in me, try to help me to see my vision for myself, for my company, for my family. And every step of the way, they kind of let me do more work, more things, learn more things. That's how I ended up in the property management business. To be honest with you, CFOs don't typically do property management, but that's exactly how I ended up in it.
Well, what is the property management business? You know, we often hear about it. And one of the things I've noticed lately, there's been a real push in the last 5 to 10 years, even on a national basis, to buy and own and rent out single-family homes, for an example. And now a lot of property management firms have popped up to provide those services for the investor. But property management, what's that all about?
Well, the short end of it is we basically take care of everything. Now, management companies can do a lot of different things. Sometimes they're just operational and they're going to take care of your asset. If you buy something, whether it's a home, whether it's a building, whether it's an office building, a light industrial park, management companies are basically there to do the headache of taking care of things, taking care of the money, taking care of the collections, finding tenants, every aspect of that asset. They're trying to protect you in every step of the way. They can do things in my company, which is a little different than some other companies. We provide all the financial services as well because we've got the accounting services, which helps because I happen to be an investor, so I do understand how to run the properties as well as what is or isn't a successful asset in terms of commercial real estate. I don't handle residential. It's not because I don't think it's attractive. It just is. Everybody has to have a specialty.
Well, I 100% agree with that. Let me back up a little bit in case folks didn't catch. I mean, you're working as a CFO roughly 10, 15 years ago, and for a developer, at some point you made a decision to go out on your own. What caused you to do that?
I did. I had the great fortune of working for a couple of guys who were really doing well in all kinds of development businesses. And we actually fell backwards into the storage business. That's really how it kind of started. I was with the company for 5 years. I just had a different vision. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something more hands-on. They had spent 5 years nurturing my experience, and I wanted to kind of take the risk and see if I could do something on my own, see if I could develop an idea on my own. And I wanted to be a little more specialized. We did everything. We did all kinds of commercial industry type of investments and development. I wanted to do one thing. We got into the storage business, and that really was how I started. Although I did have an office building that I was managing, that I was fortunate enough to take with me when I started my business about 5 years later.
Well, let's talk about that. You like you say, you focus, you specialize, which I think has some real advantages to it, not just in the real estate industry, but a lot of businesses. People tend to get too spread out, and I've made that mistake in my career, and it cost me in one of the businesses I started. But back to tenants, you've got tenants in an office building, you've got tenants in a storage facility, a self-service storage, as I call it. What's the difference?
To me, I don't think there really is. I think tenants office buildings have a need. These people are running their businesses. I consider it a personal project of mine to make sure that they're successful at every step of the way. In many ways, clients in the self-storage business are the same way. Think about the fact that somebody needs an extra garage space. Think about the fact that somebody may be moving into a new home, maybe moving out of a new home, maybe need to move out of town or just moving into town. Commercial businesses that are growing, that are contracting. There's all kinds of reasons for storage. What I like about that business, the same as I like about the office building business, is I want to know what your needs are and I want to address them. I believe in the personal touch. I think that's what separates me from a lot of other people is I want to know about your business. I really do want to understand your business and I want to help you in any way that I can. And if there's a way for me to do it genuinely in my heart, I want to help. For the same reasons why I want to help, because other people took the time to kind of help me along the way all this time.
Well, that obviously makes sense as somewhat of a business philosophy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're up against our first break for the day. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about specifically what Andrew's business is right here in Montgomery County. He's got some storage facilities, and it's a very interesting business. So stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
Pearson & Pearson is a certified public accounting firm located at 400 North Main, Conroe, Texas. The firm was founded in 1989. Our expertise ranges from basic tax to very complex tax, both federal and state, both individual and business, and not-for-profit organizations. We also provide services such as financial audits, reports, and litigation support. Call us at 936-756-2008. That is 936-756-2008. More information can be found online at pearson-pearson.com.
This is the Weekly Business Hour, and I'm Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and the host for the Weekly Business Hour. I want to start off this segment thanking again our sponsors, Pearson & Pearson CPA. I appreciate the opportunity that they've given us to sponsor this program. And if you're in the market for a CPA firm, accounting firm, need tax help, I hope you'll consider Pearson & Pearson. Well, as we left our last segment, we were visiting with Andrew Pena, Dream Management Services. We were talking about storage tenants, and that's really what we want to talk about today is the storage business. Andrew, you have several storage facilities here in the Montgomery County area. Tell us in general a little bit about them.
Well, I started with my first one out in Montgomery, Texas. Right now we have 4 locations. 3 of them are actually in Montgomery County. Obviously, by our attention to Montgomery County, we love this county. We love the area. We love the people here. We are very happy to hear that Conroe's the #1 fastest growing city. That makes us very happy because we have a location on 2854 that we just purchased about a year and a half ago.
Well, the opportunity, and like you mentioned, being in a really growing area, it's location, real estate. I mean, they even talked about it in college courses about that.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you and I, because I moved here 4.5 years ago, have chosen what appears to be a really great place location-wise to be in business. But you have bought facilities. Have you ever built a facility here in Montgomery County, or you just bought existing?
We've actually never bought a piece of land and done new construction. However, our place in Montgomery, Texas has had a 20,000 square foot expansion. We're scheduled to break loose on another expansion and take that from about 73,000 square feet up to 95,000 square feet. We've been really fortunate. our East Conroe, or as some people here probably know it, is the cut and shoot location. We actually completely rebranded, updated, renovated that facility and took it from about 6,000 square feet all the way up to 17,000 square feet, and it's currently in lease up. We own a facility on 2854, and as many of you might know, there's an expansion planned. TxDOT's going to expand that road from 45 South to 336. We have a small facility there. It's about 26,000 square feet, and it's old. But we are actually planning on doing a 3-story climate controlled 39,000 square foot facility there, along with some other new buildings. That is going to be kind of the marquee building and commercial property on that segment of road.
Yeah, that's I happen to live off 2854, a little further out towards Montgomery. I think personally that's an excellent location long term, no doubt about it. Well, let's talk about, real estate to me is something, when I own a business that's not real estate oriented, it's a difficult area or a challenging area, that whether it's to lease a space for my retail business or even my storage, that's real estate. And business people, either I have found small business people particularly, they kind of overlook it. They move through it too fast. They leave a lot of money on the table when they deal with real estate, whether it's the location, the storage. How do you see that? You mentioned earlier in the first segment that you really take an interest in people. Talk to us a little bit specifically how you do that. I've got a business, I've got seasonal storage, say inventory, and I come to you and your facility or one of your facilities. Talk to me. How do you help me determine what my real need is?
Well, we spend a lot of time finding out what exactly are you going to be storing at the facility. It makes a big difference. One of the things you're going to, at Montgomery Self-Storage, it kind of starts and ends with the property managers. They're very team oriented. They want to make the person, help the person out with any types of needs. We've got 14-foot ceilings, but if you're only raising, if you're only putting inventory up to 6 feet, you're wasting a lot of space. We're not trying to sell you the most space. We're trying to sell you the most efficient amount of space. So we've got to get a lot of information about exactly what do you need. A lot of times people just come with a truck full of stuff and they need to pack it. They have no idea. Sometimes they think it's, I only need a 10 by 10. You may end up needing a 10 by 20. The reality is that my 10 by 10 at Montgomery Self-Storage is not much different than everybody else's 10 by 10, right? What's going to differentiate our group is they're going to actually try and fit you in the space you actually need, not just the space you think you need.
You made a good point there, and I hope people are listening, if they're business people and have real estate needs, storage needs particularly, that they realize it's a cubic foot business. It's not square footage. Like you mentioned, 14-foot ceilings. You can put a lot in a 14-foot ceiling that you might not think about.
Absolutely.
So you've got these facilities. Do you plan any other expansion in the area?
As much as God and opportunity will allow, for sure. Like I said, we've got 2 actual facilities that are going to go through a pretty major expansion. Those are pretty significant expansions. The cut and shoot location, as soon as we get to about 75-80% occupancy, I'm sure we're going to be, we still have opportunities for expansion there, and we're always looking for opportunities. We believe in Montgomery County. We believe in it. I have 4 facilities. 75% of my portfolio is sitting in Montgomery County. That's not an accident. We like this area. Actually, all my partners are basically in the Montgomery County area. We all live here. We breathe here. We spend our money here. That's just the way we do business, and that's the way it works for us here.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me. Well, let me ask you back to the business clients. And one thing I've failed to touch on. Okay, I need a lease space, but there are businesses, and maybe some people don't realize that I actually operate out of a storage facility. Talk to us a little bit about that.
We have several commercial businesses, and I'll touch on some of them. We had one commercial business that was a window installer. So they kept a lot of inventory at the facility. They have a need for large facility, high ceilings, so that they could forklift in a lot of different inventory. And then the nice thing about storage is you basically can have, at some of the facilities, you can have 24-hour access. A lot of these guys are having to get into their facilities at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of nice to have the place lit up like a football field, be able to easily access their facility, get whatever they need. They're gone by daylight, won't be back until probably 6 or 7 in the evening.
So you provide that kind of access, and these are people that are storing inventory. What about distributors? That's something you and I kind of touched on because I have a little bit of history in the storage business where people are actually distributing products. They come by, load the truck up during the day, and head out.
We've actually had, it's interesting. I'm trying to think of some of the other, we've had pharmaceutical salespeople. We've actually had makeup product people who take advantage of our climate control facilities. And they basically get deliveries made right there at the facility, which a lot of people don't know. But you can basically run that business out of a storage facility. It's pretty amazing now.
You know, and that's to me an efficient way to use real estate as a business owner, because the cost of that storage facility versus a traditional warehouse, office warehouse, it's got to be a lot less money to rent that
Absolutely.
space.
We actually have one that I thought was so interesting. Was we had someone who ran a Coke vending machine type place, and he rented, I think, 4 or 5 14 by 30 units, had forklifts. He had the place completely shelved, and he kept every kind of inventory you could think of, whether it was soft drinks or the actual machines right there, and was able to access it any time and do any repairs and then go out for the day and basically go and take care of all of his clients right from the one location.
You know, the one thing I really appreciate about the self-service storage business too, as a business owner, if my business fits or has that need, is the flexibility. You mentioned the fellow had 4 or 5 spaces, but as things change, increase in size, decrease, you can give up.
And that's one of the really nice parts of the storage business, right? If you're in a tenant space and you're renting space from me in an office building, you're committed. Storage business is basically a month-to-month business. That's basically what it is. So when he went from 3 units to 5 units, we can accommodate. When he goes from 5 units to 3 units, we can accommodate. When he goes back down to 1, we can accommodate. You're never more committed than 30 days, which gives you a lot of flexibility to grow and contract as your needs provide.
You know, one of the things, and you had mentioned that you've had some experience in the office industry, managing, owning office buildings. That's one of the things I've never understood in an office environment. And I have clients that I consult with, and so they pay this rent on office space, $1 to $3 a square foot, depending on where they are, per month. And then they've got this, 5 by 5, 10 by 10 area, whatever, even larger, storing extra furniture, records, whatever. Take it off site.
Right. And what you'll find is that there's a lot of opportunity to do storage, to store those types of things at a much more effective price.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me. Going forward, the self-service storage industry, what do you see happening to it? What's going to change over the next 5-10 years?
Well, we're going to have to be much more creative. The smartphone revolution is here and here to stay. Owners and operators, even though it's really a mom and pop business, they're going to have to get much more. We all need to stay much more educated. The big box, Cube Smarts, all the big guys, they're way ahead of the game. But mom and pops can compete a lot in the storage industry. Don't be intimidated by the size of those boxes, because I will tell you that I believe that a lot of the family-owned businesses can do a lot better in the storage business than a lot of those can. And part of that is because we know our customers. We have personal commitments to those areas. We know our communities better than anybody else. And these people are invested in the community. My property managers are invested in the community. They live in those communities. They grow in those communities.
You know, it's one of the things as kind of we wrap up our discussion today, employees. And I know from my history in the industry that having the right on-site management and whatnot is a critical thing. What's your approach to hiring or and particularly keeping employees?
Take your time, take your time, take your time. The right person will do everything for a great facility. The wrong person will be a horrible addition to your property. And the other thing is retention. The truth is that people are an investment. I care about the people. I want them to be successful. Well, successful isn't just giving someone a raise every year. Successful is benefits. Success, if you want to keep the people who you know are helping you protect one of the highest value assets you own, then you're going to need to think about the future of that person. Whether it's, I would like to see in my future with my company is I would really like to see profit sharing, real investment in your property. But as it stands today, healthcare, I try my best to provide quality healthcare to them, vacations, bonuses, incentives. And the future is that I want to grow them into new positions. Most of my team members do not want to stay property managers forever. They want to be area managers, district managers. That's only going to happen if I'm successful, and I'm only going to be successful if I can nurture them to success.
Well, Andrew, I deeply appreciate you taking time to visit with us. You've enlightened me on a particular area in industry, self-service storage, and I enjoy the opportunity to talk about success right here in Montgomery County. If people want to get in touch with you with a question, business question, or have some storage needs, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the easiest way is just to call me on my cell phone. I'm not that big yet, so it's 832-347-8256. It's my cell phone. I will answer it. I'm basically on call 24/7.
So if we need storage, we call, what's that number again?
832-347-8256.
Well, thank you again for coming in and educating us and also providing us with real upbeat success on your own right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our bottom of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to have John Martin join us again from Thrivent. He is in our expert corner and talk a little bit about building value in your business. So please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Pearson & Pearson is a certified public accounting firm located at 400 North Main, Conroe, Texas. The firm was founded in 1989. Our expertise ranges from basic tax to very complex tax, both federal and state, both individual and business, and not-for-profit organizations. We also provide services such as financial audits, reports, and litigation support. Call us at 936-756-2008. That is 936-756-2008. More information can be found online at pearson-pearson.com.
This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host of the Weekly Business Hour. And thank you for joining us today. We're in our third segment called our Expert Corner. We have an expert with us, John Martin with Thrivent. John's been with us before. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you taking time. We've started a discussion a couple months ago about business valuation, and I'd like to continue that discussion today if we can. I guess, where do we go for next in that discussion on business valuation?
Yeah, absolutely. If I can, Rick, let me get some business out of the way if I can do that first. There's some disclosures I have to quickly go over, and if you don't mind, can I do that?
Go ahead, please.
I need to let our listeners know that I am a registered representative of Thrivent Investment Management, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Thrivent Financial, and that the views that I'm sharing in this broadcast are mine and not those of Thrivent Financial. The advice that I'm giving may not be appropriate for each individual situation. So, like always, we suggest that you contact a financial professional, an attorney, or an accountant if you need additional information. And then finally, please note that I am not offering any specific investment or insurance product recommendations today. So the last time I was on the show, we discussed the need for business valuation and a continuation plan. And really, it's sort of the first step for really any business, but more importantly, small and intermediate-sized businesses. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, Rick, was an easy and cost-effective way to do this. But before we do that, let's review a little bit about what we discussed the last time I was on. So we meet probably with business owners 2 to 3 times a week with regards to these discussions. And so some of the things that we share with them are just some of the statistics that are out there, but also some of the anecdotal stuff that we come across. So one of the things that most business owners don't know is that about almost half of all small to intermediate business owners out there, their net worth is tied up in that business. And so what does that mean? And we try to help them work through that and figure out a way to maybe not make the business so heavily leveraged on the net worth. Many of the business owners that we talk to, they want to pass their money on to the next generation, but only about 26% of small business plans have a continuation plan. And then this is the one that a lot of people find interesting, is that if you look from generation to generation, most people that we talk to want to pass the business on to their family, such as a child or maybe a sibling, and it really depends on their background and meaning the successor's background and their ability to carry that business forward. But what we find, research shows us that about less than 30% of the second generation of a family carry the business forward. It drops to about 12% in the third generation, and the survival rate of businesses in the fourth generation of a family are about 3%. So what that should tell you is that while nostalgically, it may feel good to want to pass something on to your kids. I think business owners, small and intermediate, need to go through a vetting process to find out if that's the best fit for the business, especially if it's something that you've spent a lot of time building up, or it's something that you have a specialty into.
Let me ask you, John, real quick. I was in a conversation myself just 2 or 3 weeks ago with a second generation business owner, and you could say it was third generation because the original founder, the great grandfather, if you will, immigrated to this country and started a small business, which really morphed into a much larger, widely held with a variety of businesses. So technically, I guess you could say now we're dealing with a third generation. Second generation took the helm and really grew the business way beyond perhaps the dreams of the initial generation. So now we're in third generation. The conversation was, what about the fourth generation? That was the conversation that I was involved in. And the individual I was talking to sounds like someone who really adheres to the kind of philosophy that you and Thrivent talk about, where they actually plan, they sit down. But it really got down to the questions they were throwing at me and asking my opinion was whether the communication between the generation, the current generation or fourth generation that was coming, because you've got people in the business, not in the business, some, there are a lot of issues that go into passing a business generationally. What's your thoughts on that?
In the situation you're describing, it's almost like a restart or a reboot, because statistically, what you just described is somewhat of an anomaly, where a second or a third generation has maybe identified something in the business and has been able to take it to a level that the prior two generations have not. So I think in that case, it's almost like you're looking at a first generation business owner.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense.
And so obviously, I think they need to. I think it sounds like you've already, given them some thoughts on, getting that business plan, that continuation process, and so that fourth generation that they're going to be talking to is actually, should be considered a second generation, because it's probably going to be their children and or grandchildren that are going to take over that business, right?
Well, and actually, the person I was talking to, it would be they're the third generation, thinking about the next generation being their children. They're two brothers, and then they each have a set of children, 5 total, I believe. And it's an interesting conversation of how to do that and be fair to everyone. And because some people want to be in, some people don't want to be in. That's the conversation and how to get that started. And I like what you said about starting as it's just like a second generation business, which I think makes it simpler from an approach point of view.
Well, almost a first generation business, right? Because then the owner, the third generation has actually taken the business in a new direction and grown it. So, yeah.
Very interesting. Let's continue a little bit more with the technical part of what you were talking about and the things that need to be done in developing that continuation plan.
Yeah, so some of the things that we talked about last time, and I'm not going to belabor because there's many reasons to do this, but I think some of the top three that business owners should be asking themselves is, what are my goals as a business owner? When I retire, do I want to sell the company? Do I want to continue to run it in some level? Do I want to have some part-time involvement? Maybe sit on as a consultant? Are there any family circumstances with the transition of this business? It's turning over a business is kind of like turning over an estate, in that there's a lot of people that may rightly or not so rightly think that they have a say in the matter, or that they are due something. So that needs to be thoroughly vetted, specifically in a business where family members may be involved with the business at some level, helping out, being employed by the business. And then, does the business owner, this is the one that I run across, many business owners want to gift the company either to an organization or the next generation, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. And that's part of the process that we go through with folks, is sitting down and identifying, what is most tax effective. How can we make sure that this passes most efficiently from either the new buyer, whether it's or not a new buyer, but the organization that's receiving the gifts, whether it could be a church or a foundation or your children, or whatever the specific event is. So.
Well, it sounds like you got to have a really good checklist to be sure you check all the boxes to cover the bases.
You do, and like I said, that was just 3, and there's probably 10 or 15 questions on why somebody wants to do a plan first that we walk people through, and then once we do that, we then talk about what are the components of the continuation plan. Clearly defined goals for the shareholders or the business owners. Is there an accurate business appraisal or valuation? I think I shared last time that most business owners we talk to significantly overvalue their business because a lot of it is anecdotal and it's emotional. And we encourage all people, whether they use us or somebody else, to go through a true metric-driven valuation process. And then the third point here is just identify any appropriate measures to minimize the business risk and protect the company's, reputation. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was a way to do that.
Well, we've just got a minute or so left, so let's put it out there, and maybe we can continue at a later date in more depth. So go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, so one of the easiest ways to leverage a business continuation plan is through what we call key man or key person insurance, and that can either be life insurance or disability. And what we do is we sit down with all types of companies, whether they be startups or those that need special financing, or even niche companies that might specialize in something that nobody else is doing out there. Could be technology, biomedical, et cetera. And then we kind of key in on those particular areas and help them leverage, why they would want to do this. If you're securing finance, if you're trying to get finance through the SBA, the Small Business Association, most of them require some sort of key man provision to be put into place there. So we help business owners navigate through that process as well. There's main reasons for doing this. One is to provide income for the business, to replace the skills and the experience of the key owners. We have to have the ability to provide some sort of liquidity to the deceased or the deceased partners, shareholders, families, et cetera, and to provide funds, so there's a transition when the owner retires. One of the questions that we get the most, Rick, is what's the difference between life insurance and key man insurance? And basically they're the same. They're the exact same vehicle. However, in personal insurance, it's typically an individual that is buying insurance on themselves. So they are the policy owner and the designated owner of the insurance policy, and then they would name somebody like a spouse or a child as the beneficiary. With a key person policy, the individual or the expert is being insured, and then the beneficiary is the business itself. And insurance is a very cost-effective way to do that, building up a cash value over time that can be used to help those that are going to take over the business, whether it's a disability or, God forbid, a premature death.
John, you make a lot of good points, and I'm sorry we've run out of time today to talk about them. And I think it's something definitely people need to find an expert like you with Thrivent. If someone wants to talk to you about some of these ideas, key man insurance and otherwise planning for that contingency of passing or selling the business, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
They can either call me directly on my cell phone, and we've got a team of analysts that will help us do this for them. The process does take a little bit of time, but the number is 936-697-0388. Again, 936-697-0388, and you can either text or call me. That's the easiest, and then I can always share my email and other ways to get in touch with our group.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us today and providing those words of wisdom and expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our final break of the day. When we come back, I'm going to offer you a Silver Fox tip of the week, top line or bottom line, which means the most to your business. So please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Pearson & Pearson is a certified public accounting firm located at 400 North Main, Conroe, Texas. The firm was founded in 1989. Our expertise ranges from basic tax to very complex tax, both federal and state, both individual and business, and not-for-profit organizations. We also provide services such as financial audits, reports, and litigation support. Call us at 936-756-2008. That is 936-756-2008. More information can be found online at pearson-pearson.com.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and I'm Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host of the Weekly Business Hour. Before I get started, I want to thank you for joining us together, and remember that you, as a business here in the greater Montgomery County area, can be a sponsor of the program. Just send me an email if you have an interest. Email address, again, is rick@irlonestar.com. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit today, top line or bottom line. You know, there's a lot of conversation, particularly among accountants, about top line, bottom line. Top line being your revenue or sales. Most every business that I've ever been involved in personally, or every person I've ever offered my services